Welcome into the 25th edition of the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai 2026. Today is Stage 6. Stage 5 was another remarkable day for the riders. It was a tough day. A short stage in contrast to some of the previous stages, 135.5 kilometres. But it was an opportunity for some of the bunch riders to get up the road and earn some valuable sprint points. They knew what was coming though, the sprinters. They would have to navigate their way up the Yongshang Bakata mountain. It would reach a height of 3,744 metres, and as expected, it was the two-time defending champion of this race, Hanoch Mulubran, who would pick up the ultimate spoils at the top of the mountain, picking up the valuable King of the Mountain points. He was joined by his teammate out of Astana, and it was Astana who were looking to try and dominate proceedings to see if they could somehow find the 14 seconds that was required to get over Jan Castellon, the race leader, and move himself into the yellow jersey. But the one man who took everybody by surprise in a remarkable day was Christian Bagerton from the MBH Bank CSB Telecom Fort team. He attacked the main group and he rode away. They were looking at each other, and this man had one of his great moments in his professional cycling career, the very popular Italian winning Stage 5. Jonathan Cathido would manage to get himself comfortably ahead of Hanoch Mulubran and Jan Castellon by the time they crossed the line, and he would move into the yellow jersey by 9 seconds. Today, Stage 6, it's cold and it was wet. And as the riders were signing in, there were rumours coming from the upper plateaus of Stage 6 that perhaps the weather might turn ugly. The race directors, the UCI officials were mindful of athlete safety. And while in the town of Gongsha they weren't feeling the cold, things were about to get nasty, things were about to take a turn. But it didn't stop the large crowds in Gongsha enjoying the atmosphere, acknowledging these remarkable athletes from around the world. 150 started the race, 22 trade teams in all. Athletes from all different walks of life, athletes from right around the world. (2023-2025) champion Hanoch Mulubran is very aware of how things can change here in Qinghai, in the northwestern parts of China, where really, on average, they are riding at 10,000 feet above sea level, or just over 3,000 metres. He knows you have to be comfortable with your head above the clouds. So things started out quite nicely at just 13 degrees, but not a lot of wind. Everybody was poised, everybody was comfortable for an exciting day's racing on Stage 6, including our race leader, Jonathan Cathido. Christian Rodriguez wearing the polka dot jersey. The green jersey on the shoulders of Hanoch Mulubran. Really, he just wants the yellow. And our leading Asian rider, Saeed Sabradeh, the man from Iran, a remarkable rider, one of the real veterans. Word was coming off the mountain, however, that conditions were starting to change. There was a possibility that this race could end up being cancelled at this particular stage anyway. 233 kilometres in distance, just the one big climb initially, and then predominantly a flat stage, which should set things up for the sprinters. The big climb today was the Nanshan Luhe mountain pass. A number of riders started the stage trying to get themselves in that early break. The usual early intensity, the pain train as I affectionately call it, established itself. The big players were happy to sit back in the main group, knowing that today probably was going to come together and it would be an opportunity for the pure sprinters and a chance for the GC riders to maybe just have a slightly easier day than the days that have preceded them. It was an opportunity on this particular stage for the riders to actually ride around parts of the famous Qinghai Lake, the largest salt lake in the People's Republic of China. The stage was set to have 2 Kingdom Mountain points available at 18.5 kilometres and 40.8 kilometres, and then 4 sprint stages at 68, 115.2, 168.1, and the finish line at 200, just before the finish line at 206.2 kilometres. The riders would still get up around 11,500 feet, around about 3,700 metres. However, as they left the town of Qinghai, as they left the town of Gita, the weather did start to turn, the weather did start to change. The town of Gita sits at 2,200 metres. Number of riders, as mentioned, trying to get themselves into that break, knowing that possibly the GC riders were going to have a slightly easier day. Therefore, there were valuable points on offer, and those that were never going to challenge for the yellow jersey would probably be allowed to get away and form a small group. The initial riders looking to try and get up the road were Edward Cruz, Diego Bracalente, Alexander Konchev, the very big, very aggressive German rider Jonas Rapp, and the Australian Cyrus Monk. Others looking to try and establish themselves in that break also included Eliseo Martinelli and Fabrizio Grizzolo. Martinelli riding for Bardiani. It would take a number of opportunities though for riders to really get themselves clear of the main peloton. With teams still chasing, other riders still hoping to get onto the back of that eventual breakaway train. Reasonably fast conditions, not a lot of wind, just cold at 13 degrees, but also knowing that potentially you could hit up as low as 1 degree or possibly even drop below -0. Didn't, however, stop the enthusiasm of a lot of the riders through this first 10 kilometres of this stage 6. Town of Qinghai, where they did leave, sits at around 2,900 metres. The Nanshan Lui Pass at 3,722 metres. So they knew the hurt, they knew the suffering was coming, but they also knew that the weather was going to play a part. The race officials were keeping an eye on it. Word from the top of the climb that things weren't great. Cycling safety, always first and foremost. in the minds of the officials in the UCI, the governing body of professional road cycling. No decisions were going to be made just yet. They would allow the riders to get underway and see how things would turn out. Certainly a stage for riders well down on GC to have their moment, to try and grab the stage, to at least get in the break, and at very least give their commercial and trade partners a little bit of television time and opportunity to connect their brand with cycling enthusiasts from right around the world. Stage 5 had been a brutal stage, with a number of riders suffering from the cold conditions as they went up to heights of 3,800 metres. And so recovery was always going to be a big question mark hanging over a number of the riders. How would they wake up? How would they feel heading into stage 6? Oxygen deprivation, arguably their biggest enemy. After a number of tacks early on here on stage 6 this morning, they continue, but the main peloton certainly was not just allowing anybody to go up the road. It was always going to be calculated. Who potentially could challenge the yellow jersey? Who could potentially challenge the GC? Absolutely stunning part of the world. The Qinghai region in northwestern China. Very lush. Beautiful plateau. Iconic mountain passes. Nature reserves, national parks. The famous yellow rapeseed flowers, the wheat that's growing up here, and the extraordinary wildlife makes it certainly a destination that I encourage anybody wanting to visit China to make sure they include on their itinerary. The riders, and it was a rare opportunity early on for a number of the riders to really take in some of the scenery, because for a lot of the main riders in the peloton, they know historically that this stage would ultimately, or more than likely, end up being a sprint finish. And therefore, back in the peloton early on, there was an opportunity for the likes of our race leaders to just enjoy some of that scenery. The likes of Hanoch Mulubran, Emmanuel Buchmann from Cofidis, our race leader Jonathan Cathido of World Top Rota Chengdu team. What a performance from him yesterday. Was in that group at the head of the race with Darren van Beckham from Astana and Hanoch Mulubran. And the likes of John Agedi, only to then attack them, and surprisingly was allowed to get away. Probably the most disappointed man at the end of stage 5 would have been Jan Castellon, who started that day in the yellow jersey, only to end up having to hand it over at the end of the day to the man who had worn it on stage 3. So eventually we did start to see a few riders looking to try and get away. Number 170th there, Jonas Rapp, the big German who'd been very aggressive in a number of the stages so far. He would also be joined by Edward Cruz, Diego Bracalenti, and they would come up the first of the King of the Mountain stages today, point stages at 18.5 kilometres. But weather started to turn incredibly cold. The rain started to come down, and suddenly athlete safety was on the minds of the UCI officials. It would be Edward Cruz who would pick up the first points. On stage 6, Jonas Rapp picking up a valuable 3. Good to see Alex Konchev also picking up a point along with Diego Bracalenti. And then they would get to the top of the big climb of the day. And again, it would be Edward Cruz, Jonas Rapp, and this time the young Australian Cyrus Monk picking up points. But back in the peloton, there was a real concern over hypothermia. The rain had kicked in, the temperature dropped to below zero, and the UCI officials made a decision to postpone the race and possibly even cancel the stage. A reminder that these athletes were close to 12,000 feet above sea level. Message started to head out amongst the rest of the peloton through the team radios that in fact the stage would be cancelled. And there appeared to be, well, a little bit of frustration perhaps on the face of some riders, relief for others. But with the weather getting worse and athlete safety a major factor, they really did have no choice. It wasn't a decision that was made lightly, but it was made in the best interests of the race, the best interests of the riders and safety. The King of the Mountain points established throughout the day would be recognised. And would stand. Frustration there being shown by the Cofidis rider, Emmanuel Buchmann, man who finished 4th at the Tour de France back in 2019. There was potential talk of maybe starting the race further down, further along the stage, but ultimately it was decided that the race for stage 6 anyway would be cancelled, and that the riders would then have to look forward to stage 7 from the town of Gangsha, which was where the athletes were supposed to finish today, to the town of Qinghai, which will feature another very difficult climb and see the riders go to the highest point so far in this year's tour of magnificent Qinghai. Stage 7 will see them go to 4,005 metres. But this just gives you an idea of just how cold it is and just how much the weather was affecting a number of riders and therefore genuinely impeding their performance. You have to understand these riders, well, they don't carry a lot of body fat. They're very light anyway. And when you start losing the feel in your hands, well, that affects ultimately your braking ability. And that right there is a major danger. It's not the first time and won't be the last time that stages around the world and UCI events do get cancelled halfway through or a third of the way through due to weather factors or due to situations out of the organisers' control. I guess the only pleasing thing for the riders is they will get a really nice drive back to the finish line in the town of Gangsha, a beautiful little town, like so many in this magnificent Qinghai region. So we will just confirm, though, the standings, the King of the Mountains, as we look back over this stunning part of the world, where we currently are sitting around 10 to 11,000 feet above sea level. Disappointment for the riders, disappointment for the spectators, but the right decision to be made. And so it will give the riders an opportunity to have an extra afternoon to recover before they do head into the final 2 stages.